Hi, I'm Rob and this is Gems of War. In this video I'll be looking at the Soulforge and giving you my opinion on what I think is good and bad in there. What's worth crafting and what's worth avoiding. But as ever, always pop into the shop on a Monday and take the weekly event troop. This one is Sulfur Slime. Let's take a look at what this does. Creates 5 yellow gems, then converts all yellow gems to red. Eliminates points on a random skill from an enemy. And traits wise, it gains bonus red from red gems, so that's useful because it's going to create red and it uses red itself. And a nice middle trait as well, 10% chance to create a wish gem when my turn begins. So it uses red and it creates a load of red, so it can charge itself up, which is handy. And it's in elemental class as well, and that awesome elementalist third trait where you stun, burn, freeze, entangle a random enemy on a 4 match means this thing can just repeat cast that while eliminating points from a random enemy, while entangling and burning and doing everything to everyone else. So quite a handy troop that. It's very similar to the green slime one that does, but that does it to purple. But yeah, really handy that. I quite like the sound of that. If you've got 300 glory, always grab the free troop every single Monday. And if you've got an abundance of extra glory, I always recommend taking it all the way up to mythical level, because then you can ascend it to mythic. You can then level it to level 20, and then that will give you another troop that is level 20 in mythic from the kingdom this is from, and that aids your kingdom progression even. And you gain a load of glory and arcane bloodstones too, so lots of things to like. Right, so let's jump into the Soulforge itself. Start with the weapons first. I'm not going to do these ones, these are in previous videos and I went all over these last week, so no need to repeat myself. And the curse breaker ones I will look at in a different video because they are pretty specialist, because they are only if you have the Soulforge to level 20. So first things first, flammifer. Great weapon. Creates 10 red gems, deals damage to an enemy boosted by red gems. So really handy. You see this in Guild Wars defenses quite a lot, because anybody that's uses red, it's going to give them a hell of a boost on their mana. So that works really well, and I would class that as pretty much an essential weapon. Doomed Club. Deals damage to all enemies, +1 per tempering level. Transform green gems to doom skulls, and if the enemy has a doom, create 5 more. Gain 3 mana for each brown enemy. So a really good weapon. Obviously works best against brown enemies because of that mana gain. But the main part of it is that transform green gems to doom skulls. In the correct team, that can be absolutely devastating, and I would class this as essential as well if you have the diamonds. Shregra's Spine. Deals damage to an enemy boosted by giant allies. Then create a mix of 6 blue and brown for each giant ally. So obviously this is going to work best in an all giant team where you have other allies that require blue and brown. But we wouldn't class that as essential, not as essential as these two anyway, but certainly these can work. That can work in the correct team. Doomed Gavel. Deals heavy splash damage to an enemy, +4 per tempering level. The thing with splash damage is it does do a lot of damage because it does the initial damage and then 75% of the damage to the troops above and below. But obviously if you specifically need to target the troop in first or last place, you can do less damage because you're not going to be targeting all troops that it can target if they was targeting second or third troop down, for example. It stuns all yellow enemies, and cleanses all yellow allies. So again, it's quite situational, best in an all yellow team against an all yellow team. Explodes 4 gems, and if the enemy has a doom, explode 3 more. So yeah, it's okay, but certainly not as recommended as the Doomed Club. Give me that Doomed Club team against a half decent team and stick it in a team with that Doomed Gavel against a decent team as well, and I reckon the Doomed Club will win 8 or 9 games out of 10 versus that. Damage wins the day with these doomed weapons. Wump. Deals damage to an enemy boosted by Broken Spire allies, another one of these ones, then create a mix of 6 red and brown gems for each Broken Spire ally. So obviously works best in a Broken Spire team with allies that use red and brown. But my pick of the bunch from these, that was the last one, is absolutely definitely the Flammifer and the Doomed Club. Both fantastic. Troops wise, Darksmith Drenzer is only here because I have the Soulforge to level 20 again. I will look at him another time. And Hatai Ascendant, Leonis Tower, Enraged Kurandara, Zulgoth and Zathanos are here all the time, and they've been gone over in different videos, so no need to repeat myself. I'll just do the ones which are not here all the time. Pan deals damage to 3 random enemies and knocks them to the back. Can be handy when you need to mix up the order of the team, but with a fairly high mana cost of 24, it's hard to get charged quick enough to do that, so can be difficult to implement in a decent team. The traits wise, the best one is probably the middle one, immune to all status effects, Devour, Lycanthropy and Mana Burn. And the last one, all wild folk allies gain 1 life and magic when matching 4 or more gems. Is just generally too slow to actually be of relevance, especially that gain 1 life. The magic gain is handy, but gain 1 life in the game these days, yeah, that's a little bit lame on that last trait. And it does do quite a lot of damage, but you do have to rely on it actually hitting the correct one, and not one I would actually thoroughly recommend in any way, shape or form. Unlike Will of Noisha, who I would completely not recommend in any way, shape or form. Steals 3 magic from all enemies and deals damage to them. Where's the rest? There must be more. No, that really is it. Wow. Will of do something good, more like. Blimey. Look at the traits, they must be worth something then if the spell's rubbish. Reduce damage from spells by 50% is very, very good. So half damage when she receives damage from spells. And all purple allies gain 1 to all stats at the start of each turn. So okay from that, but she's divine, but wow. To me, that is pretty lame and one of the worst mythics out there. Unlike Phoenicia, who is absolutely magnificent, and not just because of what she's wearing. She deals damage to all enemies, boosted by red gems and burning enemies. If there is a firestorm, deal double damage. Her traits gain 1 magic for each red ally, immunity to burning and fairy fire, and 50% chance to burn a random enemy at the start of my turn. The reason why she's so good is because in a Sunspear team, or someone uses the Firestorm trait, which deals triple skull damage to burning enemies, stick this girl in a team with someone that burns all enemies really quickly, like Infernus, for example. She get all the enemies burning really fast, get her cast, her spell is boosted by burning enemies, and there's a Firestorm, which she will have in something like a Sunspear, does double damage, can be absolutely devastating. So she's really, really good. Love Phoenicia, very, very powerful indeed. Uberstet, he was the god of the game for a little while. When the divine meta was out there a few years ago, this guy came out and he was the new king of the jungle. Like, everyone was scared of Uberstet. He was the most powerful troop in the game at the time. But things have moved on. There's a bit of a power creep in the game, I call it, where basically as new troops come out, they incrementally get better and better. They have to, otherwise the game would stand still. And he's been left behind a little bit now. His troops are pretty much absolutely rubbish, but his spell can be really, really good. The trouble is it's almost a one-cast spell in a way. If you do heavy damage to the first troop in one way or another in your team, and then you cast him so you can guarantee taking out that troop, you'll be guaranteed an extra kill. That is the main sort of selling point of Uberstet. Really powerful for that, but because the damage is boosted by the ally and enemy attack, because you've killed 2 of them, it's much harder to get that kill again on the second cast. So he's kind of good and bad at the same time. So that is it, I think, for the mythics. So on the mythic side of things, I would say my absolute pick of the bunch would be Phoenicia. I will probably be doing a focus on Phoenicia video very, very soon. Show a load of teams you can use with her to get the most out of her if you've got the crafting resources. And second place, I would give to probably Uberstet. Yeah, if I had to keep one or the other out of Uberstet or Pan, I would pick Uberstet. Right, let's have a very quick, brief look at the Legendaries. I never recommend crafting Legendaries because basically they're going to show up in chests way more often than Mythics will. So pretty much hold on to your gems anyway, but we'll take a look. Right, Kraken. I used to love this troop as an early middle player game. Deals damage to the last enemies, then creates 8 blue gems with a 35% chance to devour the last enemy, which is really, really handy. When you devour a troop, all their stats get added to yours, So your attack, life, armor can go really, really high. And at the time, as a early player, I remember that tentacles being a really good trait as well. Deal 3 damage to all enemies on 4 or 5 matches. Still can be useful for getting rid of barriers and stuff like that, but yeah. Kraken, if you get lucky and get the Devour early, can be absolutely devastating. Tesla. Tesla is one of those rare troops that's brilliant if you're level 1 or level 1 million. Doesn't actually really matter. Deals 8 true scatter damage boosted by all ally and enemy armor. Really fantastic troop because she just works whether the enemy is rubbish or amazing, because if they're rubbish and got low life, okay, the boost is not very high because the enemy's enemy's armor is not going to be that high, but it's still going to be enough to probably kill them. And if you do something like a level 12 explore where the armor's really, really high, then it boosts her power even more, so she gets even more devastating. So a fantastic troop and works in a lot of teams, and I like her a lot. A Tinseltail, do you feel lucky? Give all allies 4 magic with a 50% chance for each of the following. Deal damage to all enemies, explode 8 random gems, or give all allies 36 life in my case. So all those things can happen if you feel lucky. You're guaranteed to give all allies 4 magic. Then if you're lucky, you will also deal damage to all enemies, explode 8 random gems, and give all allies life. So Tinseltail, kind of a fluky do you feel lucky kind of troop, but not something to be relied on in any way, shape or form. Baphomet deals damage to 3 random enemies, and if the enemy is burning, deal double damage. So obviously you need to get them burning to get the most out of that. He does use red, so that will be effective in a Firestorm team, or Firestorm team, or team that uses the triple damage burning mechanic. Deals triple skull damage to burning enemies too, so really, really cool. Can be devastating in the correct team, but again, nothing I would actually spend my diamonds on when there are other things to spend the diamonds on instead. So to just recap, Phoenicia, my absolute pick of the bunch from the troops, and the weapons, Flammifer and Doomed Club are the 2 that I would get. There's the video, thanks for watching. I'm going to be doing a teams thing later on the current event, which is based on red, so wow, there's a lot of choice there. But hopefully later you'll be catching that, and see you next time. Bye for now.